Welcome, everybody. So the title is Replacing Bad Habits with Meditation. So a little bit about habits. We all have habits. Some habits are good, some we think are not good. Now, the thing about habits is that it took us a long time to develop them. Years, maybe decades, we've been developing these habits until it becomes part of us. And then comes the day that we think, oh, I need to change. I shouldn't be like that. I should be in a different way. Now, the curious thing is that we forget that we took so many years to develop that habit, and we want to change it immediately. Like from the moment we think that, oh, this is not a good habit, I want already it to change. But we find that that's not what happens. So habits are difficult to give up. So what's the proposal? The proposal is not to say no, like, oh, I'm doing this. No, I want to do. Because when we take that kind of mental stance of saying no, we are still thinking about that habit. And as we think, so we become. Even if we think, no, don't do this, we are still thinking about this. So we have the tendency to flow in that direction. What to do in this case? We have to redirect. It is like let's say the train is going a certain direction and difficult to stop it, but it's easier to change it a few degrees to go in a different direction. That is easier. So it's easier to work on our mind by redirecting it. So how do you redirect? I'm proposing that we should include meditation in our life. If we already do meditation, we should give more emphasis, more time, dedicate more to it. So what happens with meditation? Our mind has different layers. Like we have the conscious mind, the subconscious, the supramental, special knowledge, the golden layer. So we have studied in our course that we have 5 layers of the mind. Most of these habits will be either in the 2nd layer or sometimes in the 3rd layer. Now, if our mind is always functioning on the 2nd layer, maximum going to the 3rd, we are easily repeating those habits and finding it difficult to change. If we can go to a deeper layer of the mind, which becomes our driving force, our source of inspiration, our, let's say, propulsion is coming from a deeper layer, that layer will be beyond those superficial habits. One characteristic of the 4th layer, which is the layer of special knowledge, is to have the discrimination between what we should do and what we should not do, between what is good and what is not good. So that is very much ingrained as a characteristic of that 4th layer. If through meditation, through going deeper into meditation, I can access that 4th layer, and I can base my inspiration and my driving force on that 4th layer, it will guide me to take good actions and to avoid what is not good or what is not positive in my life. So that is one aspect of meditation. Let's say that is the higher aspect. That is taking the high ground. But maybe I'm a beginner in meditation. Maybe also I'm not giving so much time to meditation, and I'm not yet established in the in the capacity to access that layer so easily. Still, meditation can be helpful in the point that I can remove the strength of the external impulse. And so let's say I have a habit loop. So let's give a simple example. I get stressed. So that's the cue. So when I get stressed, it triggers that I need something to release my stress. Maybe I think, oh, to release my stress, I can use, let's say, some alcohol or some drug or some other habit that is what I want to give up. So now the cue came, okay, stress. It triggers me going maybe towards alcohol. And then I drink, and then I relax a little bit, so I get that reward. So it creates this cycle of the habit. So now I can use meditation to break it. Let's say stress came immediately, I think, oh, I should meditate. Or some obstacle coming in my life, instead of trying to escape through drinking, I think, oh, let me sit and meditate. Let me clear my mind with meditation. So I make that effort to put meditation as the result of the trigger. Now, why meditation? Because meditation has no or very little side effect. You know, anything else may have side effects. Let's say if I think, okay, I will read something or I will do this. But meditation is something that is easy. You don't need any special equipment. You don't really need any special place, and it has no side effect. So then when the cue comes, what it triggers, I will just close my eyes and I will meditate. I will not react immediately to that. Maybe something that happens, I become immediately super angry, lose control. So when that comes, I say, no, I stop, I sit down, I close my eyes, I meditate. So that's one way to, let's say, a second way that meditation can help. So the first way is keeping your mind in the higher layers, which have that capacity to guide us in the right direction. That's one. And the other is you just use it as to occupy your mind at that moment so that you don't go to do something else. So that is the way you can break the loop of that situation, of that habit. And you can, by doing it regularly, you slowly give up that habit completely. And my experience is that sometimes you have a habit that you feel, how can I get rid of it? And it goes in your life for a long time, maybe years. And then it just went away. And then one day you think, oh, and to think that I had that habit before. So that is what can happen in our life. And meditation can be a very strong component of liberating you from those habits and guiding you towards adopting new better habits in your life. So that's the idea. We have to find a way to break the loop. And my idea was this: use meditation. But this is not an instant thing. It's like a journey of transformation. It takes time. It takes effort. So you have to do it in a sustainable way. So what do I say is a sustainable way? Not to be too ambitious. Let's say I'm not doing meditation, or I'm doing only once in a while, and then I decide I will do 1 hour twice a day. That's very ambitious. Maybe you can manage it for a few days, 2 days, 3 days, maybe 1 week, but eventually you cannot manage it. And because you were too ambitious, you want to reach too much in a very short time, so you set a very high bar, and then you have no choice but to reduce it and reduce it. And that starts the trend. I would call it like a negative trend, in the sense that you are reducing, which is better when you set a positive trend, that you start with something that is achievable. The moment you achieve it, you increase. So now you're starting a positive trend, is that you are increasing what you are doing. And another thing that some people do is that they try to adopt too many changes simultaneously. Let's say, not only I will start meditating, but also I will change my diet, and I will become like this, and I will become like that. So you start a fight in many fronts. And we must understand that the mind, when we try to change, it means we are exerting force in one direction. There will be a reaction. So there will be forces, opposite forces, which we may not have predicted. And that can be like, for example, in my family, I think, okay, I'm going to meditate every day, half an hour, and I'm going to sit there and meditate. And then my family starts opposing, which I was not thinking. Oh, I thought my family was going to support me. We was going to tell me, yes, you are doing good, but they are coming as an opposition. So remember that there is practice and there is theory. The theory is like this. I think in my mind, oh, it is going to be like this. And many times our intellect is very optimistic, and everything works perfectly in our mind. It's going to be like this, and I'm going to reach there, and then the bus will be waiting, then I go on the bus, and it will take 10 minutes, and I reach there in time, like that. But practice is, you are on the way, and then something happens, delays you, you reach there, bus just left. So we have to take into consideration that not everything works as it works in our mind. So I think, oh, I'm going to do this and plus that. Yeah, it works in the mind. But when you start to apply it in the day-to-day life, you see that you forgot many of the factors. So that's why I would suggest, suppose there are 10 habits you want to change. You start with 1. Don't take your New Year's resolution, write all the 10 habits and say, I'm going to change all these 10 immediately. It is better to work in a different way. So, and what's the way I'm suggesting here? You don't go against the habits that you have. You leave them there. You go pro a new habit, because we have only certain amount of hours in our life. And when we get occupied with something, we don't have time for something else. So now I add some good habits that I want to include in my life. By adding those habits, they will take some of my time. They will take some of my energy. Automatically, I will not have time and energy for something else, which is what I want to eliminate. And that can work with all the resources that we have in our life, because utilizing well our time, utilizing well our resources, be our financial resources, intellectual resources, our capacities, all that occupies time. So if I allocate time for one thing, I'm taking the time away from something else. So here, what's the idea? Allocate some time to meditation. There will be mainly two positive things. Is that during that time, you'll be utilizing it well for meditation. There'll be less time for other things. Second, the effect that meditation will have in you by making you think from higher layers will also have an effect in your life. So in that way, you are working on how to let go the old habits and replacing it with meditation. All right. Now, that was the first point of today. The second point of today is, I call it the power of small changes. Sometimes you don't have to change a lot. You have to change a little bit. Let's say that we have 24 hours. A lot of that time we are sleeping. And then we have our waking hours. Now we want to change. If we even change one, or if we include one new habit in our life, in our 99 days course, I introduced one point, which the name that we called it in English was the first thought. And what's the idea is that the first thought of the day, when we wake up and we just become conscious, that first thought is very important. And I mentioned that it is best if that moment is a spiritual thought. If you think about something spiritual, or if you think about someone spiritual. If you can do it regularly, on a consistent basis, daily, it is something that may take just a minute, but that little change can create a cascading effect on your day and consequently on your life. And you see, it's a very small change. And just imagine I'm on a ship and I'm sailing from New York City to Lisbon in Portugal. It's basically going due east. But if I change by a few degrees the route, instead of going due east, maybe I put a little bit south. In the beginning, there is not much difference, but the end journey may be in Morocco, in Casablanca. See, completely different destination. And the change was just a few degrees, but as the boat is moving a long distance through the ocean, it will reach in a completely different place. So there is a lot of power in the small changes. If you cannot implement a big change in your life, implement a small one. That small one will be the first step, and it will eventually create more and more changes, and you will end up a completely different person. Maybe you think, oh, I'm such a person today, but by that little change in time, you will become a completely different person. Your mind will be different. Maybe your body will be different. Your whole existence may be different just because of a small change. So that's the second point. So the first one was about using this technique that we have, meditation. The second one is that in the beginning, you aim for something small, but you keep it consistently, keep it going through the years, keep it like something regular that can be part of your life. So that was the second point. And now, the third point. This is also a yogic method. We are working with the mind. And the mind thinks in different ways. I will give you an example. Sometimes thoughts come in our mind that we don't want, and those thoughts make us do actions that we also don't want, and we repent later on. Let's say that in a common situation, I see a neighbor, and my neighbor, let's say, buys a new car, a very fancy, expensive, beautiful car. So when I see that, it creates in my mind a feeling of jealousy. Okay, so now I am jealous that my neighbor got this brand new car, and these feelings come in my mind, this emotion, and I can't seem to be able to take it out from my mind. And it keeps me in bad mood and not in a good state of mind. Oh, why I have this old car and that neighbor has this nice car. So that happens in different situations with different emotions. So now let's see. I have this emotion of jealousy is in my mind. So there is this idea. So how can I remove it? If I just keep saying, no, I shouldn't have it, no, I shouldn't have it, it keeps staying there. So the yogic technique is that I will take an idea that runs counter to that existing idea. For example, in this case, I can take the idea that this neighbor is my friend. He is my friend. So now if what happens if my friend is successful, I feel happy. I feel happy that, oh, my friend is having success in life. So if I can apply that thought, then my mind changes. I'm applying an opposite thought. I'm applying another idea to the mind, and the mind is taking a different stance. Instead of holding that idea of jealousy, it's by applying the idea of friendship, it's turning the jealousy into, let's say, happiness. So now I'm able to keep my mind in a balanced state. So this is another technique that can be applied in various circumstances, against various ideas, various ideas that come to my mind. So for example, an idea of discrimination, let's say racial discrimination. I see somebody from a different race somebody from a different tribe, and I discriminate, oh no, this person is bad because it's from that tribe. But then I can think, oh, but I knew somebody from that race, so I knew somebody from that tribe, which was my friend, so maybe he's a good person, and so my idea can change. So this is a simple, let's say, technique that can be used mentally. It's a mental technique, and it can help to remove that idea from my mind. So in this case, I just called it applying an opposite idea. So now a habit is like a trend of the mind trend to guide us in a certain direction, to think in a certain way. How to change it? We are taking 3 points here. One is use meditation, like a universal tool, a tool that you can use in every circumstance. Things are going bad, you are getting depressed. Okay, stop, sit down, meditate. Something didn't work out. You are thinking, no, I should drink a bottle. Stop, meditate. So universal tool. Second, to create a consistent change, take some small things that you can do in your life. And 3, keep the mind always clean. Purity. Purifying the mind all the time. How? Applying opposite ideas. Some thought is coming in the mind. You feel this is not a good thought. Look for another thing that you can apply to the mind in order to change it. So you are not addressing directly that problem with a no. You are just taking a different thing, a different idea in the mind. So that is the third point. And I would like to give you a few moments to talk about this, mainly this third point. And we'll give you a few minutes in a breakout in your breakout rooms. And we would like to get your input. And but before that, let me just do a summary. And while I'm doing that, you prepare what you would like to share. You can either share using the chat window, or you can just take the mic and share. And so it's just a short summary here, just to, just a moment, I share. Okay, so, sorry, the summary. Now, I've been saying that to include meditation, okay, and to meditate, and I know many of you meditate, and so I said for those who already meditate, to work on making your meditation deeper, or maybe giving more energy to it or more time to it. I want to add one thing is that when we meditate, it's important that we do it without expectations. We just sit there, apply our technique with all our sincerity and devotion, but whatever happens is okay. I shouldn't expect that, oh, if I'm meditating for a year, I should feel like that, and if I'm meditating for 5 years, I should feel like that. There is no how we should feel. That is what happens, and what's happened is okay, and it's working. And sometimes we think, oh, I'm doing meditation, and when I sit there, I'm struggling so much, I'm making no progress. But it's not like that. I like to compare or to make an analogy between meditation as a mental practice and physical exercises, which are like a physical practice, right? So let's say that I'm going to the gym to do exercises, all right? And I've been going to the gym for, let's say, a whole year or 2 years. If I'm going to the gym to exercise, if I want a good result, I have to struggle there. I have to lift weights that are in my limit. I have to, let's say, run as many minutes as it makes my body do some effort. So I will finish my, let's say, exercise session feeling that I have struggled with my muscles, with my breathing, and I'm a little bit tired and a little bit feeling the muscles. I did some effort. So I feel, oh yes, I'm going to get progress. Imagine if I'm going to the gym and I come back home and I say, oh, I went to the gym, I didn't feel anything. I didn't even sweat. It was just like so nice. It means you didn't put any effort and you also not get a result. So now let's make an analogy with meditation. You set for your meditation. Now, it's not the physical gym that you are struggling with your muscles. It's your mental gym that you are struggling with your thoughts. Maybe they are coming too many and you are trying to balance it, or you want to get rid of some. That struggle is making your mind strong. That struggle is giving you the results of meditation. And you may experience some moments that you feel a little bit deep peace or a little bit bliss. But if your meditation, there is zero effort, zero nothing, it means also you are a little bit in a plateau, means you are not really moving ahead, you know. And a tantric meditation, which is the meditation that we teach, the tantric meditation is a meditation that is always pushing you to your limits. It's always making you move ahead as quick as possible. Therefore, struggle happens, and it is not something bad, it's something good. It shows that you are progressing. There is always room for moving ahead, you know, until we become a realized person, there will always be room to move ahead. So there will always be this movement, and when there is movement, there is struggle. So that is one point I wanted to emphasize, because sometimes people get discouraged and they feel, oh, I'm not making progress because I'm not just experiencing that continuous peace in my meditation. So keep that in mind. And the other thing is, when you make changes in life, aim for changes that are sustainable, that you can sustain in adverse situations. Don't always count that you will get the best of the circumstances. You know, there will always be adverse circumstances. And so the change that you make has to be sustainable. Something that can be done for a long time with regularity. Okay, so these are the the points of the summary. And as a conclusion, I want to give an encouragement that we need always to take the first step. You know, even if you have to run 1,000 miles, still, it's just the beginning is the same. It's just one step. So take it. The moment you take one step, you don't know what's going to change. You know, suppose you have to go, let's say your car breaks down and you are 10 miles from the nearest mechanic, and then you come out of the car and you lose hope, you just sit there. Or you think, okay, let me walk a little bit. So you don't know, maybe you start walking, then somebody passes and gives you a ride. So circumstances can change the moment you start taking steps. Because let's say I'm doing nothing. So I have a certain view of the situation and there are certain circumstances. But the moment I take one step, everything changes. And if I take a second step, everything changes again. So we never know what can happen that can allow me to fulfill my target the moment I start moving towards it. All right, so that's it. And now let's go for the sharing. And I see that already some things came on the chat. Okay, so let me see here. The first thing is in Spanish. Let me read and then I'll translate.
So the next one was my Google translation version of what Elder wrote.
All right. Okay. The next is the translation.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Okay. So the comment here is that the opposite thought is the personal mantra. Yes, you can always use the personal mantra. But there are circumstances that you can use, like that circumstance I told you, use the idea of friendship to remove the idea of jealousy, like that. So there is always that possibility also. But as I mentioned, the mantra is like a universal tool. It like works everywhere. And all right. Okay. Anything?
Namaskar.
Yes, please.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Namaskar. Yeah, I would like to add some points. As Dada said, I found some points very relatable. Number one was without expectation. Yeah, I still remember that when I started doing meditation, I had some kind of expectation that I don't feel this, I don't feel that. And I used to talk to my Acharya and I was really disturbed for a long period because I'm not getting something which I want in a meditation. So slowly and gradually I understood that, yeah, we don't need to expect anything and we progress slowly and gradually. And also I was talking about as the Dada said, that the struggle in meditation. I would like to add that is very true because sometimes I have faced that if I am meditating, I feel I am unable to concentrate at all in my meditation. I am unable to concentrate and there are thoughts just fighting in my brain. But as soon as I try to and I am meditating around 25-30 minutes. But after that 25-30 minutes, I feel that my meditation was not at all perfect because I was unable to apply my techniques as taught by my Acharya. But I used to feel peace when I used to do the Guru Mantra. So even after struggling in the meditation, there was a peaceful feeling after the meditation. Yeah, and now the mind was totally silent. So that was a very positive point I felt. And coming to the topic, am I going too long?
No, it's fine. You are fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, as Dada was talking about the habits today, I read a wonderful book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. In that book, there was some really good ideas about the habits, and I also talked about it in my breakout room. That one was like habit stacking. We all have some of the habits which we are already ingrained in our day-to-day life. And so habit stacking means just stack your new habit in that old habit. For an example, just we always brush our teeth, we always take a bath. So just stack meditation just after the bath. In that way, I use this technique. In this way, I am able to always be consistent in the new habit because I have already stacked this to my old habit. And secondly, as Dada talked about the cues, I would like to tell a very interesting story that cue is always motivate us towards a bad or a wrong or a good habit. There was a story that there was a lady who used to smoke cigarettes. Whenever she used to do horse riding, she used to do horse riding daily. So whenever you see, she used to sit on the horse. So she used to smoke, but due to some reason, she faced an accident and she didn't go for horse riding for around 5 to 7 years. And she found that she never smoked in those 5 to 7 years. But after she recovered from her injuries, after 7 years, she went for horse riding. As soon as she sat on the horse, she again took the cigarette and she started smoking. So that was her subconscious mind that it was attached to the horse riding. So we have to understand that what is our cue which is leading to a bad habit and how can we promote a good habit using that cue. For example, if we want to drink more and more water, just keep water available to you as early as possible. So that if water is near to you, you will always take at least one sip. So that is also an interesting point. And yeah, I mentioned in the chat a mathematical way to show that if we improve at least 1% daily, what can be impact in the whole year. Just that was my last point. I encountered this.
Very nice. Very nice also the mathematical formula. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else would like to share? You're invited to take the mic and join us.
I'll share something, Dada.
Sure.
I was thinking about the meditation yesterday. I am mostly a very level, mellow, calm person most of the time. Even though I can agree with Ayush, sometimes removing the expectations of your meditation is really key. But the other day or yesterday, I got myself out of character, out of just over responding to something, and I found myself angry, which was something I'm not comfortable with or used to. And but I had talked to Dada and I'd seen this presentation, so it was kind of clear in my mind. And I took 5 minutes right then and just meditated. Thankfully, I wasn't driving. So the other person was driving. So, and it was amazing because immediately afterwards, it just everything like was clarity. It kind of felt like whatever was, and I was able to understand, and I was then able to adjust the situation. And it was actually, a healthy experience. But so thank you. I appreciate that.
Nice. Okay. Thank you. Anybody else would like to share? We still have a few minutes at our disposal.
Sí, me gustaría.
Por favor, adelante.
Ay. Estaba pensando que no se escuchaba.
No, escuchamos.
Quería preguntar eso, que por favor Dada nos pueda hablar de la comida sádvica y estaba pensando en el jengibre y en la cúrcuma. La cúrcuma que son unas raícitas, que estas raíces son como la zanahoria, pero que son anticancerígenos. Es completamente amargo y calma el cuerpo, lo tranquiliza el cuerpo y ya no hay enfermedad. Y quería preguntarle sobre la cúrcuma como uno de los hábitos en el desayuno, junto con el apio, por supuesto que ya es también sádvico y también calma la mente, el zumo de apio. Quería preguntarle concretamente de la cúrcuma.
Okay, so she was telling about the food. Sattvic food means food that's good for body, good for mind. And she mentioned especially like curcuma and ginger as two types of food that are very beneficial. Okay, as far as food, what I can add is that I think two ways about food. One, when you go shopping, that's a key moment when you go shopping for food. If you bring to your house good food, automatically you eat good food. Suppose you want to stop eating sugar and you bring lots of sugary foods to your house and you put it there in the cupboard. Then you'll be always thinking, oh, I want to eat that, but oh no, I have to control because I want to eat less sugar. You are creating a problem. So better when we go shopping, we really shop the food that we think is good. Then automatically you have to eat that. And second is, the more you increase the sattvic food, the less space you have for food which is not sattvic. So you start every meal, suppose maybe you are not able to give up completely, let's say tamasic or rajasic food. So you start the meal by eating as much sattvic food as you can, automatically there'll be less space for the other type of food. So in this way, you're also increasing your use of sattvic food. So, and regarding these two foods, types of food, she said the curcuma, which is the yellow powder, the turmeric, and the ginger, both are roots and both are quite good as in a diet. So if you purchase them and you start using, then automatically you will be getting the benefits. Okay.
I just put in the chat that the way you said that reminded me of something that I do during my workday when I design products. You try to make it easy for the person using your product to do the right thing and harder for them to do the wrong thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I don't know, you use screws that are all the same length, and so that you don't have to hunt to try to find the right one. Or you make one knob round and another one square, or one's a push button. Anyway, so it's easier to tell what you should do that's correct.
Right. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Now so the main thing here is anything you want to change, take the first step.